I wanted to comment about the Burale and MWAKIDEU feud, and I want to comment on it. I want to make my own opinion. Obviously, if you know any of them one on one, you may be more better placed to comment than us, but that does not stop us from forming opinion, and it also does not stop us, especially when something happens to you, and you see somebody else facing the very same photocopy of what you went through, then it rings a bell. You even form an opinion. In many cases, you find people, when a couple disagrees, people, especially women, they side with that woman. But what we forget is that this is a difference between two people, a him and a her. And remember, the him, he has half of his relatives are men and half of his relatives are women. It also applies to her. Half of her relatives are men, half of her relatives are women. So there is no problem that is usually uh, for women and for men. No. You can see MWAKIDEU is a man and he's siding with his sister, isn't it? But for finding that this thing I've gone through, let me look at it from my perspective. Because when something happens, it reminds you, you find a lot of things are in common with what you went through, that makes you form an opinion. In the absence of them coming out with an agreed the truth of what happened, in the absence of that happening, we are left to conclude things. But I've seen another video where MWAKIDEU is trying to change tacts. MWAKIDEU is trying to change tacts, saying, okay, I know Burale that this time is right, quite, but if you ask him what he's trying to soften the things, that is after the damage. He's trying to show that they were friends even, and actually there were three people. Him, I don't know who else, and Burale, and they used to date three girls. And he's trying to make a tactical withdrawal. But then these are my views, and they become even stronger when you find that many of the things that is happening to Burale happened to me. You find that such occasion, it is good now. I can see he also has some gray hair, or is it gray beard? So it is good for me to share my experience, and then it is good for younger men, especially younger men, to learn about it. I remember when I was a recruit. Is it when I was a recruit? No. But somehow during my police service, I've come to learn that when girl recruits are in Kiganjo, usually they are visited by elderly ladies, police officers, where they are mentored into how to stay and whatever. But policemen don't. Uh, so you find women side around with them, but men, first of all, we hide. We don't tell what we are going through. And then you tell your fellow man what is happening. He says, jikaze kama mwanaume, jikaze kama mwanaume. I've gone through what Burale is going through, and we have a lot in common. So I want to share with you, so that younger people, okay, manene ya Burale just, but it should be an example for younger men to learn. Yeah, younger men to learn from what we have gone through, because we don't have such lessons as girls have in Kiganjo, where you are taught. Kiganjo, you are just told the kids you have are not yours. there are other men's kids, and your kids are being brought up by other men, then I'll come to that. My opinion on the Burale Mwakideu feud, for those who say that I know everybody and that I am related to everyone, well, unless you come up with facts to show that that example you gave us is not accurate. I may be related to 1,000 prominent people and you're not related into 5. Do I blame you? Do you blame me? That is how we are. But with him, we are both former students of Bungoma High. Both of us went through Bungoma High. Only that I was there for my A levels, Form 5 and Form 6. And Burale was there. Burale is an 844 guy. Apart from that, we share a lot more in common. I understand that before he dated Mwakideu's sister, he was very close to Mwakideu. Yeah, that is why you find Mwakideu now trying to refract the story by saying, we used to be 3 people, 3 men, and we had 3 girls who are timing. He's trying to change the stories without saying sorry. I think it was always good for a human being just to say sorry direct, other than trying to go around. I may read in your message that you are apologetic of what you're saying, but the best thing, especially to men, just call somebody aside, especially if you are sure that he'll not hit you, he'll not box your face. Just go and tell him, I'm sorry and whatever. But trying to introduce the stories which indicates that tulitoka mbali, iwe nawe tulitoka mbali, kastori kama haka kaisi fanya tukosane. I think that is what Mwakideu is doing, bringing other stories of how there were 3 men and 3 ladies who really looked for them and whatever. I want to tell young men that you should never date a sister of your best friend. Yeah, that is what I noticed with me and also with the brother. If you are a young man and you're still dating, don't take your best friend and start dating the sister. You can become best friends after you started dating the sister a long time ago. We have cases where you date a lady, she takes you to her home, and then you discover that she's a sister of your classmate, she's a sister of your workmate, she's a sister. That one is. But you see, this is the thing that I can talk from my side. You have your age mates, you start visiting them at their home. That is when you are Form 4, Form 5. But they have a sister who is in primary. So 5 to 10 years later, several years later, you go back and find that the girl is now a young woman, and then you start dating her. Please don't. Even if she's the most beautiful lady in the world, when you started befriending the brother or the brothers, just stop dating the lady. That is why you see Mwakideu, in his attempt to defract the case, he's saying, we used to be 3 people, and there were those 3 girls whom we thought tumeweka box, kumbe hao ndio wametuweka. And if you go and see Burale akiwa hajakasirika, whatever, you see, although he's trying to play around with his mind, but here is, of course, evidence that they were friends and they knew each other long before. They were friends long before they knew. They were before Burale started dating his sister. That one is the first point I have to tell young men. Kindly, if you have a long-standing relationship with a fellow boy or man, don't start a relationship with his sister. But if you knew the sister and maybe you are dating her before you knew that she was the sister to this person, or even before you knew this person. As I said, there is an occasion where you may later come to understand, my long time girlfriend is a sister too. So that one I think I've said. Uh, I I I only came to know my current brothers-in-law, the current brothers-in-laws I have. Uh, I came to know them both just before marriage, or just before we became very serious item, or some even I knew after marriage. But my former wife, who I went through the same case as Burale, my former wife, her three brothers were very much known to me. They were very much known to me when we were uh, even in school going. Uh, so this is what I'm trying to say, that uh, I knew that family a long time ago, because they were brought up in, the boys were brought up in Nairobi, and the girls stayed at home with their mother. So later on, I also blame myself, because when I started dating her, I knew that her brothers were my very close friends, and I'm talking of something that I have experienced. Please don't do that. What happens to a man who is dating his best friend's sister is that you are very careful. Let me tell you one thing. You are very careful, because you are handling two eggs. You are running around with two eggs. The two eggs, one can, and you see, if one falls down, it breaks. If both of them falls down, they both break. So it is like you running with eggs, and it is very risky. Imagine the girl being pregnant and you don't end up in marriage. Imagine the girl becoming pregnant and you don't end up in marriage. Usually her brother or brothers think that she was the target, and you used him or them to get to his or their sister. You see, people differ. People differ. Not all datings end in marriage. So when it ends in and especially young people, when they date and they differ, usually there is bad blood. And you see, in the worst situation, there are those times you break off and just move on and whatever. But you'll always find a woman saying, a female human being saying that you wasted my time, wasted my time. I don't know. I don't know whether women also waste time of men, because if you start staying with a lady, like now, let me give an example of myself now, because it is that problem is not there. Supposing just by any reason that my spouse of, is it 30 what? I have to count over 30 years. If anything happened and we differed, you'll find a woman always saying, "You wasted my time." Now, don't you think you also wasted my time? Because after staying with a woman for 30 years. But anyway, I've never had a man complain publicly that you have wasted my time. But I can say that my former marriage, it was a wasted time. It was a wasted time, and I nearly ended up in jail. Not even in jail. Those years they used to be hanging, before hanging was removed. So I would also be dead now. But I could say it was a wasted time. But you'll never hear a man saying wasted time. It is always women who say, naona hiyo kazini yako alinipotezea wakati yangu sijui ni. So usually her brother or brothers think that she was the target and you used him or them. So whenever you visit the home and whatever, and later on you differ with her, her brother or brothers will just say, you used to pretend to be my friend. Kumbe, it is my sister you used to come for. So you see, that is one of the problems, dating your best friend's sister. And as I said, there was the case of pregnancy. The case of pregnancy, like the parentage of our son is still in question. Maybe it will be subjected to DNA, who knows. But anyway, it's not me we are talking about, isn't it? You find that she started staying with me. Within 4 or 5 months, she gave birth to a child. Now, if I would have said that, you come and stay here for a few weeks and you give birth, see, the brothers would now start saying, you see, you are befriending us because you are targeting our sister. But what happened is immediately the boy was born, a second cousin of my former wife came up and said, even at the time of shooting this video, a second cousin of my former wife still insists that is the biological father too. Biological father to that boy. So you find that if such issues were there, and I would have said no, the boy belongs to another man, and the man had, you'd find that the brothers would say, the brothers would say that I was using the closeness to them to reach to their sister. I just want to say here before we go back to Burale is that in 2022, that is 3 years ago, the mother owned up to having an incest with her cousin, but she insists that I am the boy's biological child. So you find that we go through such issues, but sorry to talk about myself. You find that a man can live with a child and knowing that this is not my son or this is not my daughter, and it hurts him internally. But what I'm trying to say, this trying to equate it with Burale, is that when a woman knows such a thing, she hits first. A woman would not mind spilling the beans. The woman would not be not even spilling the beans, bringing up such big topics to an extent that you cannot react. For example, I don't know what happened to them. I don't know what happened to them, but I'm only saying, you see, there is such a thing that can happen, and the lady now comes up. Hey, you see, I checked his phones and his whatever, and I found him with videos of homosexuality and whatever. You see, she's hitting him so hard, and you see, men do not, because somebody would ask. Let me tell you one thing. Somebody would ask, Burale, how is it that you stayed for 2 to 3 years? Did they? No, they even stayed for 1 year. How is it that you stayed for 1 year and you differ? A man will never tell his woman, I will not tell what happened, even if whatever. Let me give you an example myself. That something that happened in 1990, around April, I had to take 32 years, 1990 to 2022. 2022, 22 plus 10, 32. Yeah, it took me 32 years to come out and say why I differed with the lady. But you see, it was only after she had used the 32 years trying to, she wanted me to be mad. And she wanted to spoil my name so much that if I were to say what she did, people would say I'm hitting back. So there is something between Burale and his wife, but him as a man, he him as a man, he can never. A man will never discuss his spouse's spousal weaknesses. No, he'll never. But a woman will. A man will. You look at two very close friends, women, and you'll find that they tell their best friends about whatever happens after the lights are out in their bedroom. That one is normal with women. But a man, he'd rather die than say a lot of things. So, using myself as an example, it is possible that Burale discovered a lot of things, and that is why he broke the marriage very fast. But he did not want to say it. He did not want to say it. But she knows, because the truth is between three people: the couple and the Almighty God. So she hits out so fast that if he gets annoyed and one day he comes up and, like my case, I'm saying, it is only that it is in my personal file. You can see a file, a report written in my personal file, 1989. So if I say that, we only need an affidavit, and police will be told to produce a photocopy of a certified copy of such things. So that is how women do. When you find her saying that, oh, no, 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 you see, I came home and found him. I came home and found him with the pictures of homosexuality. That is what I have in mind. Embarrass him to an extent that whatever he says, but you see, men will, even me, it took me 32 years, and even after taking 32 years, it, I just, okay, I'm a trained NIS. So I know how to mortar and brick stories until I think she's regretting. She's regretting having said that. You find that that is what I don't know. I don't know whether you are getting whatever. Uh, that is how it is. And you find that, like, my former wife had three brothers. One is deceased, but two of them are still alive, and they came to know recently, 2022, 3 years ago, that their second cousin, who has been saying for decades, he has been saying. So they used to think that it is that internal home problems and whatever. But when she came out in 2022 and accepted that it is true, you see, they have not even talked to me or anything, whatever. But anything I talk um, about her, you'll find that they, they really turn against you. She can talk a lot of things about you, but they don't notice it. But when you try to say something little, it becomes like the reverse. To give you, let me say, what I have noticed in many cases, you as a man, if you do something, weighing at around a gram, 1 gram, her brothers will readily react. If you do something whose weight is a gram, 1 gram, her brothers will react immediately and harshly. But they will ignore a ton, 1,000 kilos targeted to you. Now, what I suspect here is this, and it's the most important point in the whole topic. This is what I suspect. When men, and I am a man, come across information that is very damaging to their sister, men tend to spoil the other man's completely. Yes. This is what I've seen with men, and that is what I suspect Burale is going through. You see, these men, they feel that they are protectors of their sister. So when they find something that would really destroy the character, or they find a story that would really spoil the image. I didn't want to say the character, but I wanted to say image. They'll really utilize that. But from here, I have formed an opinion. In this particular case, I've formed an opinion, and as I've said, and I keep on saying, it has a lot in common with what I've gone through. That makes me form an opinion. Let us ask ourselves a question: is Burale a gay? Only him knows, and the Almighty. Only him and the Almighty knows. But to me, this is a well-calculated move to finish him and finish him forever. Personally, I don't know him. He entered Bungoma High when I had already left a long time ago. But I have observed them. I observed these people. I know Kina Kanyari, I know Kina Dadamere. He comes out to be a very sincere person and whatever. And I would really be the last person, unless somebody provides me with any evidence, I would be the last person to believe. I would really want to come out publicly and say, no, they are cheating to him, unless somebody comes up with the proof. Somebody comes up with such proof. And then to the dear lady, let me tell you one thing. In life, we come across so many things, but when we come across something that we cannot prove, we usually don't talk about it. So if you cannot prove that you have not said that he's gay, no, you just say that you found, and you pretend to as if you can't find those, but you want to say that you found him with pictures of homosexuality between men and women. If you cannot prove, then kindly in future don't talk about things that you cannot prove. But as I said, the way I know him even before this, I doubt whether he. There are some cases where you say, okay, but this one I could look at you, and even if you produce things, don't be shocked for me to try and think maybe the technology which we call it AI. Let me tell you from my experience. When a woman knows that you will never disclose close secrets, she takes that opportunity. She takes that opportunity. And I've gone through decades of that. If my former wife had an idea that I can come out blasting like a GPMG, general purpose machine gun, all those years. And women, I don't know. You find some huyo namjua, Jemo namjua, haizi ongea. Mimi najua tu nikimjambulia atashangaa na nyamaze na aanze kuomba Mungu ni. She never knew that one day it's like milk. If you are boiling water, she thought I was water. If you are boiling water, you'll just boil until the sufuria becomes empty. But then when it comes to milk, you boil milk, it boils over and even switches off your stove or gas or fire. So if my former wife would have known that I would hit back the way I hit, and you see, you reach somewhere and say, people, okay, you come and feel, people will laugh at you. People will say, what kind of a man is it? If she would have known that I would have hit back the way I would have hit, I'm telling you, for 30 years, I would have lived. And that is what I'm trying to say, that Burale's wife, for the time they were dating and the time they used to stay together, and knowing that Burale is somebody who is known in the country, who has a CV, who has his respect, who has whatever, she feels that she could talk anything about him and he would not react the way a GPMG does. Nothing is as bitter as you getting your spouse red-handed. When you see somebody, if you see a marriage that is very short. Now look at Burare. And they played a trick on him. They really played a trick. This man organized with his sister. He organized with sister, and the timing was very, very perfect. It fitted. It fitted very well. Whereby he invited Burare and they talked, and you see Burare, not knowing that he was walking into a trap. Not knowing that he was walking into a trap, because I don't know about saved people. I don't know about coastal people. I don't know about anything. But I know about Luhya. I don't imagine a Luhya man discussing how he dated his woman with her brother. That one doesn't happen. But you see, they were talking very, brother not knowing that he was going into a trap. Where, oh yeah, by the way, viewers, yeah, this used to be my brother-in-law. Utajua ujui. So nothing is as bitter as you getting to a man as you getting your spouse red-handed, and you as a man decide that such information will muddy her. You feel that muddying her is muddying yourself. Let me tell you a thing. If how many men? I mean, how many men can get their wives red-handed or their women red-handed and then go and broadcast it? Hmm. So I went through that, and I suspect Burale went through that. Because how do you explain marrying somebody for 1 year? And her brother was asking you on the podcast, hey, how was it? And, no, the girl was, your sister was perfect, your sister had no problem, but we had to move on. Then later on, he invites his sister, who says two things. That her worst mistake was to marry Burale, and the worst time she had ever had in life. Now, how can it be the worst time when only one day you went there and found nude, is it nude or even homosexual pictures on one day? It's all the time we were there. There is something that, and this thing goes with church people. This thing goes with church people. You can be the church pastor or something, and your wife is a drunkard. Your wife behaves that way. You see, you are so embarrassed, but you cannot do anything. And especially, but this thing that they stayed for 52 weeks, and then separated, anyway, let us not put two and two together. You know, when you put two and two together, you get 22. Sincerely, you cannot have a wife for a year and then depart. There's something. And brother must have discovered something, and both the MWAKIDEU know what he discovered. And him that would rather, as I said, men, they would rather die than disclose their wife's peculiar happening. Yeah, as I said, it happened to me. And a man would never discuss with, unless kichwa imeruka kama vile iliruka kwangu juzi, and I became as a GPMG. But you find in my case, she went and poisoned my kids against me. So me nikasema, after all, what is there? Those days I used to keep quiet for the sake of kids. Now the kids have been poisoned. I hit back, and my kids have been wondering why I just woke up one morning, chased away their mother. They were wondering. So when mom says dad is bad, how can a normal person? And you see, now how can you sit with your wife, with your children, and and just say that? I know I'm lucky because what I'm saying, it's there in my police file. So anybody doubting, we only need to go to the court, swear an affidavit, and the police will have to photocopy those things and show out. In my case, on the third year of our marriage, you remember, brother is 1 year, isn't it? Me, on the third year, I went home suddenly and I caught her red-handed with my junior, a constable. I rushed to the AP who guarded the DO. I was staying next to the DO. I wanted to go and get that G3 and shoot them both. I wanted to shoot the lady, her son, and the constable. So the fellow didn't give me the gun, and one led to another, and it became public notice. I was then transferred from Habaswein to Takaba. I was transferred to from Habaswein to Takaba. That was the 3rd year in marriage. The 4th year was, we didn't have any event. But you see, when I was being taken to Takaba, my boss, a senior officer in our office, felt that with a family I should not go to Takaba. Maybe Ram was a family-friendly place. Stayed for Ram for about a year, then was transferred to Mandera. The very same boss went to, there was a brothel, in Mandera. I don't know whether it's still there. Mandera, for those people for those men without families, in Mandera, you could talk to an Ethiopian lady, but Ethiopian lady from Malkasuftu, 3 kilometers north, were not allowed, and Ethiopian citizens were not allowed to sleep outside Ethiopia. So at 6 they had to go back. So if you had a girlfriend from Ethiopia, you had to go to a brothel called White House. I don't know whether it is still there. White House. Uh, so he went there and found that lady doing a threesome. Yeah, a threesome with 2 constables in a brothel called White House. 24 hours later, I was single again. I'm single again. And now I'm telling you all this because I'm trying to say, you see, Bradley has, you know him. Suppose he found his, I'm not saying that is what happened, but supposing he found his wife with a shamba boy or something, you'd just tell her we are parting ways, but he would rather die. In fact, he would even die without telling anybody about that. But women are very clever, as you have seen in my case. So she went and poisoned the children. She went and poisoned everybody for over 3 decades. Until one day maji alishinda. No, unga ilishinda maji. So this ended 3 years ago, I said. So if she would have known that I would explode, she would not have given me hell for 3 decades. And me, it took 3 years to hit back, and hitting back, I knew how to place the information. Of course, I'm a former NIS person. Plus also, for those of you who have known, I've disclosed things about government or anything. When you open your mouth, there are only 2 ways. Either say everything or say nothing. So in a very short time, I disclose everything without leaving anything. There is a 2-way thing that I see. There are 2 ways things I see. On one hand, now back to kina MWAKIDEU, I see it in 2 ways. On one hand, MWAKIDEU's sister knows that Burale would rather die than expose what she did. And on the other hand, she's coming in full force to finish him completely with the assistance of her brother. That is why I'm saying I'm not aware of anywhere where a man sits with his sister and they start discussing the boyfriend, the husband, or even the former lover. The way they were talking, you see, Burale aliingia mtego bila kujua. Nafikiri kila mtu ameokoka. Hey, let me not laugh. So Burale be thinking that, whatever, he accepted to talk that. And you see, so the second thing is she's coming in full force. And it was a very much, what do you call? It was a very much deliberate way to finish him completely. I want to advise Burale and other men. Let nobody cheat you that your former brothers-in-law would treat you fairly. Don't ever think that your former brothers-in-law will treat you. The way you are seated, comfortable, asking, yeah, you and my sister. And then you say, oh, by the way, this man used to be my brother-in-law. I want to tell all men. No, I'm not even trying to tell him because it's already late. Don't. If you meet your brother-in-law, former brother-in-law, talk about your children, his nieces and nephews, but don't talk about his sister. What would you talk to him? Okay, if in Luhya tradition, even my current brothers-in-law, I can't talk to them about my wife. But when you have separated with your woman, why should you discuss? Do you want to tell your your former brother-in-law that your sister is bad? You'll be beaten, and that is provocation. Would you say she was good? Like Burale was saying, she was good. And what did she do? They knew that he would never criticize her in private, leave alone it being recorded. Leave alone it being recorded. So they knew, and he was given the first priority to do that. And he did it without knowing that he was walking into a trap. That thing I've extensively talked about myself. Let me talk about a very prominent Kenyan, Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Ngugi wa Thiong'o differed with his wife, escaped to. I've already recorded that. If you check on my videos, I've already said how Ngugi wa Thiong'o differed with his wife. He escaped, went abroad, and married another lady. So Ngugi wa Thiong'o trusted a nephew of his former wife to organize the trip, to organize everything. And you know what happened in the hotel? How sure are you that that nephew is not connected to whatever happened, where Ngugi wa Thiong'o's later wife was sodomized in a 5-star hotel? Lastly, let us talk about social media. Because Burale is being finished off in a social media. For over 3 decades, let us talk about social media. Sorry, I was about to repeat what I said, but forgive me. For you to become a star in social media, it takes two things. For you to become a star in social media, it takes two things. It takes luck, and it takes a lot of perseverance. There is a Justin Chweya. Justin Chweya is the one, and my son. They're the ones who assisted me to set up the YouTube. I always tell Justin Chweya that if I would have known that that YouTube would be the way it went to be, then I would not even have started that way. And I would ask him, "Were you sure that it would be that way?" And they say, "I knew, but I wanted to encourage you so that should it come out," and it came to pass. So in social media, for you to become a star, there are two things. There is perseverance, and there is the there is the lucky break. But there are those predators. You see, the predators don't know you. They don't care about you. They don't even notice you. But once you make a break, they come for you. Most of them, if not all, most of them, nearly all of them, they don't know you. Most of them, or nearly all of them, they don't know you. They will not gain anything from bringing you down. They'll not gain. By the way, as a former police officer, let me tell you one thing. Steal something from me, which is worth 100 shillings. Go and sell it at 20 shillings. You have gained. You did have 20 shillings. But, okay, me, I've lost 100. But you have gained 20. But I don't understand where some people just haraganious things for you without them gaining anything or whatever. If at all anything, these people, that is where it doesn't make sense to some people. So in social media, you find that these people don't know you. But I don't know why they get this joy in bringing you down. And they play around with you, with your emotions. I also want to say Justin Chweya and my son came in great. There was that time, hey, things, until I started posting things that they say, that is what they want. You go up there, then from up there, they bring you down, and they get a lot of happiness there. If you're wondering what I'm saying, that I'm trying to say that Burale through hard work and determination, he has risen to where he is. I would say that he has a niche, a topic that people associate. In fact, when Raila's bodyguard died, that is when I came to know that Burale is an assistant pastor. But you see, he has started his NGO aside, where he's very much known, and and now he has succeeded in his men's clinic, and his time was, this thing was marked by the brother and sister to completely annihilate him. His biggest mistake was to believe that his former brother-in-law was a genuine case, and accepting to be interviewed first so that his former wife is interviewed later. Because when he was being interviewed, he really praised her. But and you see, just to know that Mwakideu knew what he was doing, saying, you mean you stayed with her for 1 year and she was a perfect lady, she had no problems. He was being set up. He was being set up because after you have praised somebody that way in a video clip, and then they hit you, you have no time to come back, my friend. If I were to meet him, that is, if I were to meet Burale, I would advise him not to sue the two. Don't sue the two. He is lucky that apart from the Mwakideu family and a few people, everybody else believes him. Yeah, everybody believes him. You check everybody. Any person who has commented on that, they have just come to a conclusion that the Mwakideus were wrong on him. So, with that, I would just say, walk away while you are still high.